Welcome to Spurs Focus, your go-to spot for daily Tottenham news, transfers, and match updates. Don't forget to support the channel by hitting that subscribe button now. Let's dive into today's top story. Son Heung-min faces a crossroads at Tottenham Hotspur this summer as he closes in on the final 11 months of his contract at the North London club. The South Korean star turned 33 earlier this month, and he has seen it all while at Spurs. Son went from wanting to leave the club just 1 year in, before being convinced by Mauricio Pochettino to stay, to then forming a lethal partnership with Harry Kane. Then came the despair of the 2019 Champions League final, a Puskas award-winning solo goal, the Premier League Golden Boot, and then finally 2 months ago becoming the first captain to lift a European trophy at Tottenham in 41 years. Son is a legend at the club. Even the modest skipper admitted himself on that May evening in Bilbao that he could be considered one, but for one night only if the rest of the team were as well. He has notched up 173 goals and 101 assists in 454 matches for Spurs and 204 goal involvements in 333 matches in the Premier League alone. He is one of the most recognisable names in the competition. Now, though his future remains clouded, Football London reported on MLS interest for Son early last month with his former Spurs teammate Hugo Lloris at LAFC, and now the Los Angeles side are reportedly trying to put together a move for him. With Saudi Pro League clubs also interested, those inside Tottenham maintain they have received no bids at this time for their captain. Son is more open to a Spurs exit than he has been since that first summer after joining from Bayer Leverkusen. Those who worked with him last season got the sense that he was preparing himself for a potential Tottenham departure, and the Europa League triumph was the perfect icing on the cake to secure his decade-long legacy at the club. It ended a season in which Son struggled to find any rhythm with hamstring and foot injuries, and ended up with just 7 goals in the Premier League, his lowest total since the season he arrived at the club all the way back in 2015. Yet he still finished it by doing something so few Spurs captains before him were able to. Spurs took up the option on Son's contract in January to ensure he was not a free agent this summer. While the club will be guided by what the South Korean star wants to do, that extra 11 months ensures they are unlikely to lose him for nothing unless he sees out his final season with another go at the Champions League. It's worth noting, though, that Lloris did end up remaining at Tottenham in his final season for another 6 months before departing for Los Angeles on a free transfer in the January window. That the MLS regular season runs from late February until October makes it somewhat awkward for summer signings, and next season's campaign will be interrupted by the World Cup. Major League Soccer could be a good fit for Son on every level. It would give him a growing stage to star on, alongside Lionel Messi at Inter Miami, and LA has the biggest Korean population in the USA. New Tottenham head coach Thomas Frank has not been able to confirm that Son will be staying for his first season in charge. In fact, he went as far as admitting that he has not even made a final decision on who his captain will be for this season. Hardly a ringing endorsement for the current skipper. When asked whether Son should be able to dictate his own future, the Dane said, "It's always tricky, situations like that. If that happens, right now I have a player that is fully committed and training well, and will play tomorrow. If a player has been at a club a long time, then there will always be a decision for the club to take, of course. And of course, the head coach and the guys who are in charge, and this case will be with Daniel Levy and Johan Lang. Because there is something in it if someone wants to leave at a certain stage, then there can be something there. But the club will always decide in the end, of course. If Son does remain at the club, then Frank will have to decide how to use him best. The debate has always raged over whether he's better through the middle or down the left flank cutting in. Ange Postecoglou's system needed him to remain wide and hit the touchline, and it never looked like an entirely comfortable fit. Jose Mourinho got the best out of Son in his prime, using him as a runner beyond Kane, as the England captain dropped deep and picked out his teammates' runs. In his first match for Frank at Reading last Saturday, Son looked to be kept out wide on the left as he did under Postecoglou, and although he won the 2 corners that led to the goals for Spurs, he never looked right, and after the game appeared to be suffering from a back problem. This Saturday brings matches against Wycombe and Luton, with Son set to play in one of them if fit, either at the training ground or at Kenilworth Road. Then comes the club's latest summer tour across the world. After that tour, there awaits a potential reunion with Kane in Munich before a chance to win another piece of silverware with the UEFA Super Cup against PSG in Udine. By then we should have a clearer idea of what comes next for Son, because Frank is keen to avoid a repeat of what happened to his predecessor Postecoglou when Kane left just days before the start of the Premier League season in 2023. Ultimately, Son should decide what comes next. He's given everything to Tottenham for 10 years and managed to complete that decade with the rarest of things at the club in the modern era silverware. He would have left a legend regardless. Tottenham thought they had Morgan Gibbs-White locked in a £60 million deal agreed and everything ready to go. But Nottingham Forest have just thrown a massive spanner in the works. Angry over what they claim was an illegal approach, Forest are now refusing to sell Gibbs-White to Spurs and would rather send him to a Premier League rival than let him land in North London. This has sparked tension across the league, with talk of letters sent to the Premier League and Forest's owner branding Spurs as not elite enough. Meanwhile, Manchester City, who were once in the race, opted for Rayan Cherki, while Forest now have their sights on James McAtee from City. What happens next in this transfer soap opera? Let's break it all down. Nottingham Forest are so unhappy with Tottenham's approach for Morgan Gibbs-White that they would rather sell him to a rival than let him join Spurs. Tottenham thought they were set to sign the England international after matching his £60 million release clause earlier this month. However, Forest reacted furiously and accused Spurs of making an illegal approach for Gibbs-White, writing a letter of complaint to both Tottenham and the Premier League. The deal has stalled as a result, and Gibbs-White's future remains up in the air. According to a new report from the Daily Mail, Forest would prefer to sell to him to a rival club instead of Spurs. The report states that Forest were open to letting Gibbs-White leave as he was resisting the club's attempts to get him to sign a new deal. However, they have been left unhappy with how Spurs handled their approach, and it remains to be seen whether any other clubs will make a move for the 25-year-old. Manchester City were interested in Gibbs-White earlier this summer, but they ended up signing Rayan Cherki from Lyon instead. A separate report from TalkSport claims that Gibbs-White informed Forest owner Evangelos Marinakis that he would only leave the City ground for a certain level of club, and the Greek businessman does not believe that Spurs are in that category. The report adds that Tottenham could still resurrect the deal, but Gibbs-White did return to action for Forest in their pre-season friendly against Monaco on Saturday. He has not travelled with the squad for their pre-season tour of Portugal due to a personal matter. Forest, meanwhile, are among a host of clubs weighing up a move for James McAtee, who captained England to victory at the Under-21 Euros last month. West Ham, Borussia Dortmund and Eintracht Frankfurt are also said to be interested in the 22-year-old McAtee, featured 27 times across all competitions for City last season, but just 9 of those were starts, and with his contract due to expire in 2026, manager Pep Guardiola has admitted the player is likely to leave the Etihad this summer. "I didn't allow him to play minutes, so I cannot ask anything from the players who don't play a lot of minutes," Guardiola said in April. "They could do better. Number Maka has this quality, the ability to create. He is there. The game worked better against Palace. You create chances. Maka close to the box is quite similar to Phil. They are there. A sense. It's difficult to train, to make that movement because the ball is coming. If he plays minutes, he will score. For the age, I'd like him to stay. But I understand the players want more minutes. I would like him to stay. He's a player for the academy. He knows the patterns. He's a lovely person and trained really good. He can play different positions, but I don't know how the squad will be, and we will see."